Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Wes Anderson's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou from 2004. So yes, we're back once again and here to talk about the fourth feature film from Wes Anderson, once again written and directed by Anderson. And yeah, just can't wait to kind of talk about this film and to hear your thoughts as well. But first of all, of course, the spoiler warning comes. If you haven't seen this film, I simply recommend seeing it first and then coming back to this discussion, and we can go from there. If you want, we can talk about this from the comments. Always look forward to that. So yes, all that said, let's dig into my thoughts, on this film. A film that one of the few films actually that I, still had to see from Wes Anderson, for the first time, and the only other one being, well, of course now as well. Actually, yeah, we have the latest effort, of course, the French Dispatch, but of course, Fantastic Mr. Fox. I've never actually seen that all the way through. So yeah, that's the only other one now. Along with this latest film that I haven't seen yet. So of course, this film though was one of those films. I hadn't seen this before. Hadn't really heard too much about this. I guess it's kind of one of the least popular Andersons, and I think it's didn't do too well at the box office and all this. So it has, though. Having said that, it's got a cult following, and it's very interesting seeing this. I guess loads of the Anderson films, I've seen. Oh, I love them really. Other than Isle of Dogs so far, I'm not too big on that. But even ones like the Darjeeling and just Bottle Rocket as well. Those blew me away. I loved these films, and Bottle Rocket, is one of the least acclaimed as well. Anderson films, and I absolutely love it. So I thought, I don't really care, as always, really, about the ratings and all this, and the general talking on this, and I just put this in. Of course, once again, all things Criterion. I don't own these, but I do have access to these films. It's my brother's, of course. But yes, seeing it on Criterion, so that was nice. But yeah, just more importantly, the film itself. I'll kind of give my brief thoughts on this film, although I will mention a couple of points, specifically as well. But yeah, just my general thoughts. First time viewing, and perhaps in the future. Yes, I could have more to say about this film, and that's that. But yes, of course, I just was very, very hyped to see this, and I'll say it straight away. I was not a big fan of this film. Really, and I think it's definitely a one that kind of I was disappointed in, and with, and just despite the cast, I love the cast, of course, especially Bill Murray, just a true legend, and I love and this was I love Bill Murray, of course, and this was the kind of main role, of course, in terms of Wes Anderson, let's just say this is the one where he gets the lead of the film, and I was so hyped for this. But I think as much as I love even in this film the actors, of course, at times, I think the character working is a thing that really isn't quite there for me, and the overall tone of this film is very, very different to other Anderson films. Nothing wrong with that, but I just think, to sum it up before we get into the different acts and stuff, I think this film kind of, just from my personal point of view, many people could love this film, and that's completely understandable, but I just think it kind of assumed too much for me, just as if, I was of course going to laugh at the humour and kind of get invested in this, really, really, quirky, let's just say, plot and kind of set of characters, and it's as if it kind of assumed that I would get it straight away, or respond to it, and it was in that sense a bit insincere, for my liking, and just kind of I think the comedy itself, I found myself for most of the film just kind of struggling with certain parts, and I wasn't really laughing actually at the comedy, and that's a shame for a Wes Anderson film, and there's some reasons why I think, and some reasons I can't really put my finger on, why the comedy for me isn't quite there for the majority of the film. Having said that, though, the opening, we'll get to the opening, kind of sequence. Of course, this the main plot being oceanographer, Steve Zissou, and he's kind of, his partner was, one of his partners was killed by this jaguar shark, when kind of filming this. Yeah, this documentary, and of course you see that at first, this documentary, and all this, and I think the kind of the way that sequence is put together, and the first kind of 10-15 minutes, actually I really, really liked, and I found it very funny actually. I would say that, and I did respond to the actual overall comedy there. Having said that, and regardless of how the film kind of progresses, I think it did get off to a very very good start, and I think as well that throughout the visuals are stunning. Once again, really with Wes Anderson films, it's not one of my favourite kind of films from him visually even, but in itself stunning visuals. Once again the framing, just the precision here, yet the kind of the enjoyment of the frame, just the way in which it is natural as well, of course, and it's precise yet natural. I love this about Anderson, and once again, yes, it's immaculate to look at, and I loved at times the soundtrack. Although I do think there's some weird kind of things that didn't work in terms of songs that were played. Before I forget, of course, kind of when I ramble on, I think yes, David Bowie, of course. There's a variety of songs by a particular character who kind of plays these songs throughout, and I think just it's kind of funny at first because of how bizarre it is, but I didn't really find that funny. It's just playing David Bowie songs. In Portuguese it is, and just playing the songs throughout, and we sometimes randomly really cut to him, almost a pillow shot, just as a breather, and it's a running gag though throughout the film, and that was one of the things I didn't find funny, and I guess some kind of uses of songs, for example, like David Bowie songs, that are kind of, I don't think the placement of them entirely works. But of course I love David Bowie, so there is that, kind of hearing his music, but it's just a strange way in which they're used. That's the thing throughout. But other parts, of the film, I do love the music. So they have that kind of element of it's a bit random, but it is nice to regardless hear different pieces of music and songs. But yes, the first kind of opening sequence I did really like, and from there we have this essentially Bill Murray's character. Steve Zissou, kind of taking revenge on this jaguar shark, and going to hunt it down with the crew, and we have all these kind of eccentric characters, interesting characters, you would think, but actually, for me, as I say, these characters aren't that interesting actually, and I wasn't really too invested in the characters, and I think that it's very interesting, on paper. Once again, some things are set up pretty well. For example, Ned. Who of course is played by Owen Wilson. Love Owen Wilson. Once again, it's great to see him in this film. But yes, he basically he kind of says to Steve, he believes to be his son, and there's some things with the mother and all this, and he believes to be Steve Zissou's son, and Ned, of course, and yes, from there they kind of team up as well, and throughout the rest of the film we have these characters going about, and things getting filmed at times, and goings on as well, with people kind of coming aboard, and all this when they're out at sea, and that was a very strange sequence as well, that I didn't really find too funny either, but we have this setup being quite interesting at least, and I did really like Willem Dafoe's character as well. Actually, he was quite funny throughout the film, and consistently actually, that was one of the things that worked, moments with Willem Dafoe, and I just think for me though, once we get going on this this kind of adventure, you could say this expedition, where they essentially try to hunt down this jaguar shark, which in the way it's done, I think perhaps it's kind of it's very dark, of course, and it's kind of I wasn't fully on board with that. Luckily though, we'll kind of mention in the end, the way this culminates, it's actually quite nice. The message there, where he doesn't, regardless of all that's happened, he chooses not to kind of hunt this shark down, and he goes off, and there's this kind of admiration for nature, I guess. That's a nice thing. At least I got that from the film, and the beauty of, for example, the shark, the design of it, and once that moment there is visually stunning. I must say, seeing that on my TV, it was very much very colourful sequence, and it's just wonderful visuals in this film. Once again, thinking on that, but I like that kind of element. And I think again the last the ending kind of scenes, I once again liked quite a bit. I think I found it quite human actually in the way it culminated. I must say that, and seeing the final kind of shot there, and the wonderful use of slow motion, and that was a really Yeah, it's a moment where it was a great ending in a way, and I thought I wish I loved the film overall, and I just think the beginning and the end is very much commendable. But I think most of the middle of the film for me is just it's kind of flat. It's just I found it, as I say, a lack of comedy that really engaged me, and I think, as I say, it kind of assumes, for me personally, just too much that that I'm definitely on board with the comedy here, and I didn't really get too much from different scenarios that were kind of playing out, and I think as well, Jane, the character of Jane, I wasn't a fan of that character, actually at all, and of course, Cate Blanchett, love Cate Blanchett, and she plays Jane, but I think just the character once again, and the way she is presented, and the kind of relationships in this film, really, I didn't really get behind the relationships. That's the thing, and the actual interactions between the character, of Ned and Steve Zissou. It should have been, I would have probably, on paper, hearing this, I should have loved it, really, and this whole thing of, oh, he could be his son. Of course, in the end, one of the things I wasn't really a big fan of. Was Ned's death, of course, this being a spoiler review, I can say that, yeah, Ned's death, and the way, he just gets kind of pushed off there, and it cuts very abruptly to this, and I thought, is this a joke? But yeah, no, he does meet his end in this film, and of course we find out anyway that he wasn't at all the son of Steve, so that was not that the film needed to be, needed to have him being the son, but again, that's sort of kind of a thing in this film that didn't really satisfy me, and it was just kind of, I know it's about the whole kind of it doesn't really matter too much anyway. The father-son relationship, in cinema in general, can be, wonderful to see, regardless of all these outcomes and all these particulars. But yeah, just the bonding between them. But I think, it kind of frustrated me the whole way in which that was done. But after that, we do have some very nice scenes, with Steve Zissou, and again, I do like the ending. And once again, it kind of it did make me think, though. I wish I loved the whole film instead of just the beginning and the ending of the film, and of course the visuals throughout stunning, but I think the characters, the tone of this film is very, very strange, the tone, and I think there's some weird moments, I think just not ones that I can kind of just laugh along with, but ones that just really take me out of the film, and I must say there was moments where I just thought I wish this. I was loving this film, and I think we'll see where it goes. I'll give it a chance. But we're getting, for example, an hour into the film, and I thought I've only really liked the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the film, and since then I've not really enjoyed the film. And I was at that point, around the hour mark, that I just thought, I'm actually really enjoying this film too much. And it was kind of this feeling. I've had it a few times, and I thought, that's a shame. I guess. But you can't love them all, and I do love most of the other Wes Anderson films, and of course, Isle of Dogs. I did like. I think it wasn't one of my favourites, but I think this film, is overall for me, average work. I must say that. I think visually stunning. Technically, this film, has many great kind of elements to it. I think in the soundtrack at times, although a bit random and kind of strange at times, it is very nice to hear. And Bill Murray, and the performances in general, I was a fan of. It's just the characters, for me, and the way it was written, and I guess just the overall tone. This world, it's not, just I think it's kind of dialed down Wes Anderson, and also assuming that everyone will come in, and it's going to be a Wes Anderson, and we're going to love the film. So it's kind of a weird combination there of kind of less of the Wes Anderson feeling, and kind of charm. That's one of the things, the key things about this film. It's not very charming for me, and not that every film needs to be that, and it needs to be as well, a jolly romp. But it's just, it lacked a lot of that, and the comedy was not to my liking. Let's just say that throughout most of the film, and it didn't really have emotionally investing moments for a lot of the film as well. So we have all these things that didn't quite work for me. We have many elements though that are very good of the film, and especially the visuals being stunning. But I think one of the things is just the fact that these characters aren't that engaging, and they're not really, to me at least, too complex. It's kind of one note at times, and as well at the same time, they're not really, it's not this charming film that is just so pleasing that I can kind of look past maybe one note characters. It's this kind of thing where quite a few of the pieces for me don't really work too well, and just wasn't to my liking. It wasn't, kind of personally for me, a film that I kind of was that engaged with, and kind of throughout, there's different moments where I thought, that was flat as well, and I just wasn't really that, kind of wrapped up in this world, which is a shame. I think, as I say, the tone is very different, and, it is just, it doesn't really feel like a Wes Anderson film in many regards. Of course, visually, yes, and cast members, of course, that return, but I think throughout, the problems for me is the characters. The plots, I found it to be maybe not the my favourite plots, but it was an interesting setup, and it would have, I was thinking, oh, this will add for hilarious moments throughout, and sadly, I wasn't really laughing that much, really, and I think the beginning was the funniest parts for me personally, and once again, great to see these this cast. I love this cast, and of course Bill Murray, an absolute legend, and just seeing him in this lead role, it was great to see, and I found it to be nice, pleasant, at times, even in the middle of the film, but for me, it's just too flat. It's a film that the comedy doesn't really, work too well for me personally, and many people, they'll click, with the comedy, of course, and I thought I would, and I just. I knew, different intentions of different scenes and all this. It's just that I didn't really, I just didn't really find it funny. I guess, that can happen with anything. Of course, you can't explain how the mind works, especially with comedy. You'll find it funny or you won't, I guess. And I just simply didn't really take to the comedy. And, I think the characters, the lack of humanity I found, an actual, kind of... compelling nature of the characters also added to that, and the fact that I wasn't really laughing along with the characters kind of thing. But yeah, all that said, it is a very commendable film. Once again, I can appreciate what Wes Anderson is doing, and once again, he is one of my favourite, especially modern directors, working together today, and kind of making films today. He is an absolute master, and one of my favourites, and certainly. Just in general, he is on my list of favourite filmmakers. But I think, this and Isle of Dogs, I wasn't too big on, and I think, I will. You can check out my Isle of Dogs score, but for me, this film is average. Taking everything into account, and it's got some great elements, but sadly, there's some things I really wasn't a fan of. So overall, my final rating for this film is a 67%, and that's a fair score from me. I think that's accurate to my personal enjoyment of the film, and what I thought of the overall film, taking everything into account, the script, the character working, and just the structure of the film, and the flow of it. I wasn't really a big fan of the flow of the film. It just kind of, it kept going in the way of, it was kind of flat, and it stayed flat, for a while, and then I was thinking, it's been 20-30 minutes before, since I've kind of really, a moment has stood out to me, and I just think, the way in which the characters are kind of hanging around, it can be done perfectly, even with, Wes Anderson, he has proven that, but I think with this film, it kind of feels just flat and unengaging, and the characters, kind of most of the time being on this vessel here, it didn't really. If it didn't offer the kind of compelling characters for me as a viewer personally, and we're kind of stuck on this, on this kind of expedition, I just thought it did kind of drag on for me. Unfortunately, it was a flat film, and there's some moments of comedy that I really liked, especially at the beginning. Hilarious moments there. But I think overall, the comedy was a flaw for me, and an issue I had with the film, and just the characters and the world, and overall the plot in a sense as well. I wasn't too behind, but overall I did enjoy the film. I think the elements I've mentioned, I didn't hate the characters and all this. It was just a case of I wasn't too invested. So even the flaws I have with the film, it's not like it's a bad film. And I think these flaws, and these things, I guess as well, things that I think could have been better. It's not like I call this out for being awful and all this, and it is a film that is well presented, of course. You know, the visuals are stunning, and you know, I think Anderson has a vision here, and you know, I always respect that. And, you know, I love Wes Anderson, and always you know, kind of support this filmmaker. But I think on this occasion, just some things fell short, and you know, I think just I found, you know, this film overall, as I say, you know, there was a lack of humanity, a lack of charm, and you know, I just think you know, it lacked the sincerity of you know, for example, the Royal Tenenbaums, which is the previous film that I talked about here on the channel, and you know, I absolutely love the film, and you know, I think the characters, you know, really presented to us as in a very sincere way, you know, real humanity to the characters, as relatable characters. And I couldn't really, that's the thing, couldn't really relate to these characters, and you know, just I tried and tried, but I just couldn't. I couldn't really at times, you know, get invested in the characters, and you know, I'm open to many different characters in films. You know, they can be eccentric, and you know, or you know, just you know, general characters that aren't you know, kind of quirky. You know, and I can get behind characters no matter what. You know, it doesn't need to be a particular set of characters, but you know, I think in this film, for whatever reason, you know, it just did not work for me, and you know, at the time, I didn't really get behind the characters and their motivations and all this, and some really random moments throughout, some highlights here and there, you know, particular moments, and you know, of course, some comedic moments that worked, you know, throughout. You know, Willem Dafoe was hilarious in the film, and yeah, just I love the cast. Too. Michael Gambon as well was a standout actually. His comedy. Although he wasn't really in the film too much, that's why I've not really mentioned that. You know, in the sense that, you know, I did really like these two in particular. That, you know, the comedy from them, and Michael Gambon is hilarious in this, and you know, I love Michael Gambon, you know, as an actor. You know, great actor, and yeah, just a massive cast. Love, you know, this cast. You know, sadly for me, the film overall fell short, and you know, not personally for me. That's what it is. My personal experience. Not one of my favourite Wes Anderson films, and you know, we'll see where it is on the ranking. You know, I have my predictions. You know, kind of already piecing together my ranking. You know, that I've obviously got, you know, the ones that I've seen. You know, a few times, and that, you know, I've got them you know, firmly in place, I guess, you know, and there's some that I'm kind of still thinking on, but I'm piecing it all together now, and you know, just of course 2 films left, you know, currently, you know, the French Dispatch, which I really look forward to, and of course as well, fantastic Mr. Fox, which I've seen a couple of bits of, you know, as a kid, but you know, just not entirely at all, you know, and I can't remember any of this film from the small, you know, kind of brief moments that I've seen, you know, for example on TV, etc. So yes, cannot wait for that film, and you know, really, I think I'll probably respond to that a lot, you know, better than this film. But yes, you know, of course, you know, we'll continue the director's series, and you know, reviewing not all of the films, you know, that I've already reviewed on the channel. So you know, kind of they won't be every single film popping up here, but you know, ones that I feel I can, and you know, kind of want to, you know, talk about again. Of course, you know, for example, the Grand Budapest Hotel is a film that I've reviewed on the channel, and yeah, I will be talking about that again, no doubt. That's a guarantee. You know, just a few of the other ones, I'll see if I can, but probably not, you know, reviewing all these films again. But of course, the ones that I haven't seen, you know, or I haven't talked about on the channel, you know, I will be you know, putting up a review for them. So look out for that, and of course, you know, the French Dispatch as well. When I see that film, you know, I'll be talking about that, and then the ranking will come shortly after that. So yeah, I look forward to that. What do you think of this film? It'd be really great to know. I know a lot of people love this film, and some people aren't so big on it. You know, of course, it's a very divisive film, and yeah, just always keep it respectful, regardless. And I look forward to that, and yeah, just look forward to, of course, you know, people I talk to on the channel, and hearing their thoughts, and just anyone coming through. You know, if you want to share your thoughts on this film, I always look forward to that, and yeah, just hearing someone else's opinion is always very interesting, regardless, and yeah, just you know, I look forward to going through, you know, regardless of whether I'll be reviewing them, you know, on the channel again. For example, you know, I will be you know, at home and stuff here, you know, doing a full series, so I watch every single one of them, regardless, and yeah, I've been loving this so far. You know, seeing Bottle Rocket and Rushmore for the first time, you know, this year, and you know, those were great experiences, especially Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums as well. You know, wonderful experience, and yeah, I look forward to continuing this. So yes, look forward to that, and yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.